Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kamrul Ahsan, an adjunct professor of Stanford University, Bangladesh. I recently joined there as an adjunct professor. Before that, I worked at Bangladesh Academy for Rural Development, BART Kumilla, for about 33 years. And I'm fortunate enough to have vast area, to have vast experience on project related works, research related works, and seminar workshop training related works there in BART Kumilla. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know that I am going to share with you a very important subject called project identification, and for many reasons project implementation, project identification, project implementation for achieving higher growth, for moving economic growth faster is very important. I feel delighted and honored to be here with you, and very happy to know that 2,585 participants from 64 countries are attending in this very important training course. Before starting my session, I would like to express my gratitude to National Institute of Rural Development, Panchayati Raj, India, particularly the Northeastern Regional Center, Assam, and Bangladesh Academy for Rural Development, BART Kumilla, for selecting me as a speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be speaking on 5 different points, and I'll be speaking on the basis of my experience I gathered in Kumilla in the last 33 years. I'm not a bookish, so whatever I'll be talking with you, that I learned from my practical fields. So, ladies and gentlemen, the 5 points that I wish to talk with you, wish to share with you are project and project identification, importance of project, priority areas of project identification, metrics and tools for project identification, and I will spare few sentences regarding the concluding remarks. So that's all about the lesson plan for this particular session. So, ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand about project. So there is 2 definitions in the PowerPoint slide. One is a project is a specialized arrangement or activity for addressing a particular problem or improving upon a particular situation. That definition has been given by CEDAP in 1988. We understand the CEDAP, Center on Integrated Rural Development for Asia and the Pacific. And the other definition is given by, I have just picked up from encyclopedia. It defines that it is a number of activities to be performed within a specific time to bring about positive changes in socio-economic conditions through using social, economical, technical, natural and human resources. So let me clear about my idea about the project. As I told earlier that I have been involved with the project related work since 1992. So it's a long time. So I conceived the idea of the project as it is number of projects. It is a number of works, not the project. It is number of works. It is already given both the definitions that the number of works that has to be carried out in a stipulated time. That means number of works need to carry it out in a stipulated time. In majority cases in Bangladesh it is 5 years, sometimes 3 to 4 years, sometimes 8 years, but in majority 5 years, which need resources. And which need resource. These three component, summation of work and need to carry out in a stipulated time and need resources. This is very common to any other normal works. I differentiate with the project with other normal works is that it should have national priority or regional priority or international priority. I mean, the interest of the mass people must be related with the project works. So I conceived the idea that project is nothing but number of works that has to be carried out in a stipulated time, which need resources and which has national priority or regional priority or priority of the common people, mass people of the priority of the. So whenever these four components apply to a particular situation, local situation, particular situation, to solve a problem, number of problems, or improve upon a particular situation, then we call it project. So ladies and gentlemen, that I understand project how it works. So it is easier for you to understand that four components are there, and these are the things whenever apply in a situation to solve problems or improve a particular situation is called the project. Relating to the what is the general objectives of the project. A few points are there as I conceive the idea through working in the longer time in the field of project works implementation. So developing socio-economic condition, developing physical infrastructure, helping in achieving national and sectoral plan, helping in achieving long-term development plan, overcoming the barriers of development. So natural question comes that so these are some parameters that developing socio-economic condition, developing physical infrastructure. So many departments there in all government on different countries, different ministries are there, then different divisions are there, different autonomous institute, different department are there. So many workforce, very skilled workforce are there to do the same job. We differentiate the project that way, that project add values to that. That means the natural setup, the setup of the government doing for some sectoral, the achievement needs some sectoral achievement. Now needs some the annual plan achievement. So projects does that way. Project helps in achieving those in better way or add values to those objectives of the government in most cases. So ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the four points. 5 points are there. The 4 points is a common everywhere that help. But the fourth point given here, helping in achieving long-term development plan, it hampers. It has some limitations in many developing countries with the change of the government, changing the vision, changing the objectives of the long-term plan of the country. So political intolerance, it happens due to political intolerance in different countries, in less developed countries. And ladies and gentlemen, the last point, overcoming barriers of development, that is sometimes the theoretical issues whenever we need to apply in practical situation in larger scale. It is theoretically sound, but we think that it should go in the practical situation in larger implementation, larger extent implementation. Then of course we need to take the help of the project. Smaller extent, then it's little bit bigger extent we experiment it and evaluate it. If if it works better, if it works implemented to different socio-economic conditions better, then we suggest that it can be taken as a national program, or it can be taken as a big program to implement all over the country. So that is how it explains. So listen, time is very short, so I'll just keep in mind and look in my watch that I have to run a little bit faster. Ladies and gentlemen, now the project investment. Just this slide is, you have seen that that the government of Bangladesh during 2019 and 20 has invested about $24 billion for project implementation. The national budget of the government at the time in US dollar was $63 billion. 63 billion. So it is about 39% of the national budget. And the number of the project of Bangladesh at the time is 1,358. And I have no hesitation to say that we salute the Prime Minister, respected Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. The reason is that the project is one of the areas that he intervenes that way. She intervenes to enhance the development process. And many of you know that the achievement of GDP was one of the highest among the developing countries in Bangladesh. It is over 8% before the pandemic situation emerged. So that is how the project works. Project gives more emphasis for achieving higher growth in GDP or solving the problems. And we have some very good examples about the poverty reduction and improving the different socioeconomic conditions of different people, particularly the poor, in the last 1.5 decade time. And ladies and gentlemen, the pandemic situation has disrupted many ways all over the world, and the achievement of the project implementation in Bangladesh was about 58% only due to the pandemic situation. That is, the project was implemented 1,358, and the achievement at the end of the May, because June is the ending of the financial era of Bangladesh. So May it is about 58% of the project ADP of, that means the project implementation performance. So this is only due to the pandemic situation. I believe that it happens in all over the world in different sectors. So, gentlemen, in case of India, the national budget of India in 2019 and 20 was about $418 billion, and about $50 billion was invested for scheme and project implementation. It is about 12% of the national budget. Ladies and gentlemen, so we need to talk now the project identification. So there are 5 to 6 major stages, whatever you say, it is 6 to 9 steps of project cycle. Project cycle means it is a cycle that somewhere the starting point and the end point should come to close together. So project cycle is very commonly well known all over the world, and there are 5 to 6 major steps there, and these are identification, preparation, appraisal, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. And identification, the project starts with the identification, and today my topic is relating to the identification. And you see that there are the first two initiated by the institutions. That first two statements, that project identification and project preparation, initiated by institution under different ministries. Private sector is also there, but commonly it is initiated by different institutions, departments under different ministries, and project implementation is carried out major cases by the institution with close supervision of concerned ministries or divisions. And appraisal, implementation, monitoring, and evaluations, that also works sequentially, and in all cases the implementer implementing organizations and the concerned ministry divisions are involved with the process. Ladies and gentlemen, let us how to define the project identification. Project identification is nothing. The sense relies on is that to find out solution of a problem of local areas, find out some measures to improve upon a particular situation, identifying the solution or number of solution of a problem or number of problems or improve upon a particular situation is called the project identification. So there might be number of possible solutions for a single problem. So identifying those various solutions is called project identification. So generally project identification, ladies and gentlemen, carried out in 3 steps. First, the identification of problems in a particular area, local area, regional area, that is relating to the problem of the mass people. So in developing countries or underdeveloped countries, these are the common phenomena, the problems: very low productivity, both in agriculture sector, industrial sector, whatever it is. Inadequate infrastructure. Infrastructure is very productivity. Infrastructure is closely related. Lack of capital and inaccessibility or poor access to inputs of different inputs for production. So this is very common phenomena in developing countries and underdeveloped countries. So the second of after identifying the problems, then go for what are the resources are available of that particular area. Available resources of the particular area. The second point, the natural resources, human resources, financial resources, and other resources. And then we can identify the project. Then it also then we can, on the basis of the resources, we can find that what are the things we can have from use this natural resources or use the potentials of these natural resources, human resources, financial resources, to solve the problems we discussed earlier. And in addition to that, what are the external resources we need to make sustainable development? So ladies and gentlemen, the last one is the identification of the project. So all of us very well know that SDGs are there. All the member countries, we are all the members of United Nations, and we signed the SDGs, and we translated SDGs goal, target, and indicators in our national plan. And SDG by 2030, there are 17 goals and 169 targets and 232 indicators. So ladies and gentlemen, these are the prime. We just concern this area. Whenever you identify the projects, then you need to consult the SDGs, national plan, and also the election manifesto of the running government. Of course, the election manifesto of the running government, all cases are very similar to the priority areas of the SDGs, priority areas of the national plan. So ladies and gentlemen, it means that whenever SDG national plan election manifesto is there, then what is the need? What are the needs to identify the projects? Yes, need is there. This is very tricky point, that we need to identify the projects. The local need, you need to match the local need, local requirements. It differs from place to place. Then you can identify the local needs, and then you can match with the SDGs national plan or election manifesto of the government. Also, the sectoral studies are there of different countries, in different sectoral studies. On the basis of that, we can take the projects, we can use the reference whenever propose the project for developing a particular situation, particular area or solving problems of a particular area, then we can use the findings of the sectoral studies that these are the important areas, development plan of the area. Also we can use the reference. So we need to match the local needs and all the documents I talked to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I told this one, these are the areas, the three areas we keep in our mind all the time. Sustainable Development Goals up to 2030, National Plan of the Government, commitment given in the election manifesto of the running government. So these are the major areas. So ladies and gentlemen, now our challenge for today is how to identify using different tools commonly used for rural development project identification. So I just present here four different types of that tools, and also the metrics here inside there are metrics are here. So this four times different tools, these four types of tools I used in my life when I tried to identify the projects. These are stakeholder analysis, SWOT analysis, ranking exercise, research findings, etc. So to start with, what is stakeholder area? Stakeholder analysis. We know the meaning of stake. So bunch of sticks, we mean a stake. But the development economics picked up this wonderful word in development economics as a to explain the total workforce involved in a particular development process. It means that stakeholders are those who are associated directly or indirectly, institutions which are directly involved with the development process, with the development of a project, or with the development interventions. So these are the stakeholders, and it is the definition is given there. It is a process through which the social and institutional background of a development intervention like project can be understood. Positive and negative impacts on different groups, class of people can be realized due to project implementation before it starts. That is very important. So there are three types of stakeholders: primary stakeholders, secondary stakeholders, and key stakeholders. Primary stakeholders, the group or class of people ultimately affected either positively or negatively by an organization action. Action means here is development intervention, I mean the project activities. The farmers, fishermen, microcredit borrowers, etc. The secondary stakeholders, intermediaries, that is the person or organization who are indirectly affected by the project or organization action whenever implement a project or their programs, like donor agencies, microfinance organization, etc. Key stakeholders. Key stakeholders who use this term, we find it this one sometimes they use the key stakeholders. It means mainly the primary stakeholders, and that we discussed earlier, and who have significant influence or importance within an organization, like target beneficiaries, project staff. In case of primary stakeholder, we do not say that project staff is a primary stakeholder, but here we can say that because they play the key roles. So listen, very minor difference, but in most cases we say that the key stakeholders are mainly the primary stakeholders. Listen, methods of stakeholder analysis. I have given here 6 different methods. Using metrics, conduct survey works with the participation of groups, individuals, of stakeholders, workshop, local advice, focus group discussion, participatory analysis. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are a number of metrics to identify project in local areas. meet up the need of local areas, to solve the problem of local areas, or to improve upon a situation of to improve a particular situation. So I have picked up the first one is there. You have seen in the PowerPoint slides. It is that 5 columns are there and number of rows. I just put it here 3 rows. In fact, including the titles, there are 4 rows. It may be 8 to 10 rows. It depends on the different stakes of a particular area. So let us take a very critical example. So let us select an area for irrigation project, for food production project. It is very sound in terms of SDG, because the second goal is attaining self-sufficiency food production by 2030 and no hunger, and it has 8 targets and 15 indicators. So it is all over the world that food security is most important thing. So we picked up the irrigation project. Let us select an area. It's a big area, about 2,000 hectares of land, and all the lands are inundated in the rainy season, and only 10% land remains underwater even in the dry season. It means that 200,000 hectares of land, 180,000 hectares of land become dry after 6 months, and rest 20,000 hectares of land remains underwater around the year. So we like to make an irrigation project there to produce 2 million metric tons of paddy in a year during the 6 months time. And this is very sound from the point of food security. And whenever you consider the pandemic situation all over the world, so food security concern many ways. It concerns many ways. So it is very sound from the national priority, regional priority, international priority. So we propose that type of project, that it is somewhere in any country that we are going to make irrigation project for irrigating about 180,000 hectares of land with 5,000 deep wells in the dry season to produce another crop. It is very sound project in terms of all the plans we have, national plan or the SDGs, whatever you say. Now let us check the area. Let us check the area. Just this type of chart lead you whether you go for the project. This is just initial step, and next matrix what I will be talking to you, that will be after selecting the project. It is the first step. Then we go for the irrigation project. Then you select here to clear your position that you need that type of project. So there are different groups, different stakes in the area, different group of people there. First group in the first row, just below the headlines of the table, in the matrix, just you put it there, farmer under the groups, farmer groups. Farmers are the rich people all over the world. A revolutionary change in the food production take place in 1960s, whenever the Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations, the campaign for grow more food. So all developing countries started irrigation, and in all cases we found that in different evaluation program that farmers are the most benefited from irrigation. So disadvantage due to the project, whenever put it farmer, no disadvantage, it is advantage. Effect on the group, of course, I put it here 3 sign minus 0 plus. Of course it will be plus. Then importance of group for implementing the project, I put it here 6 points here. Unknown, little, some importance, moderate importance, very importance, critical role. Then I should say that landowners. Who are the landowners? Owners, the farmers, big farmers, medium farmers, small farmers. So they have the power in locality in all developing countries. Higher the land, higher the power. So the importance is also there. So you give it 5 or 4, 5, maybe 5 you have given. And the last column, extent of influence of group on project implementation. Then again, the landowner is the most influential of a particular of area. So you give him here very influential or significant influential. So you give it 5. Now coming to the another row, the fishermen. Fishermen, they maintain their livelihood in the wet season fully on fish harvesting from vast water bodies from 200,000 hectares of land, and winter season only 20,000 hectares of land, the water is there, 20,000 hectares of water bodies there, they partially meet up their need and partially from other source of income. So whenever irrigation project goes there, so the 500 deep wells will suck the water and the surface water will not remain there. So that is the one, maybe some technical study will be needed, but the common says that whenever we suck the water, there's a linkage of the surface water with the groundwater. So 500 tubules is a big water sucking. So an irrigation is a big irrigation there, so water may remain there. So whenever put the fishermen, disadvantage due to the project, so it will be disadvantage, of course, because they will lose their livelihood, income of their livelihood. So they actually there'll be a problem in the dry season, and effect on the group, it may be minus or zero, because the project always suggests alternate livelihoods, alternate suggestions. So you must suggest that way, that you will give another employment generation program there. Importance of the group for implementing the projects, because the fishermen's, they are poor people mostly characterized, they are more poor people, they are in many cases they are hand to mouth people, and they don't have any voice, no importance. So you just give it here 1 or 2 or maybe unknown. And extent of influence, then the last column you give it also 1 or 2, because they don't have any voice, they cannot raise their voice, inform to the farmers and other groups for their interests. So whenever you just fill up a number of, it is 3 rows there below, but you can fill up 8 to 10 below, and just have a picture of the whole area. Now you can go for now it is yours, it is your turn, whether you go for the project or having the understanding of the area, you will go for the project or not. So if you ask me that, then I may say that I will go for the project, because the cost food security is concerned, and food security is concerned, and that it is a cost benefit ratio is better, it is very positive. And enlightened people like you may differ from my opinion. You may say that I should not go that type of project at the cost of extinction of a community from the society, because in the long run no fishermen will, will be there in the community, because this community, the fishermen community, develops their forefathers hundreds of years, their generation maintaining this way. So through the new projects, ultimately this community will not survive there. So that is how you just understand select the project or not. So now this is the preliminary idea to select one project. Now we go for the next slide. Second, I have taken another project. This is not the previous one. This is another project. This is also matrix. Matrix inclusion of poor to financial institution. So inclusion of our financial for poverty reduction. It is almost there. It is associated with the 7 goals out of the 17 goals of the SDGs. So once you identify the project that I just talked to you about, the irrigation project, this is different project. Now I put here another matrix. This matrix is relating to the how you identify the development works there, how the stakeholders needs there, what are the needs of the stakeholders there, and what should be the measure you need to adopt. So this matrix will lead you that way. First of all, you identify the project, that you take that irrigation project, although you include it or discarded that one, but I have taken that, I have selected one project, the financial inclusion, initially through using that matrix I just explained you earlier. Now I'm going for this this matrix, that what should I do with the project, right? With the project. So I have put here four different stakes here. It depends on the locality. Maybe 10 stakeholders there, maybe 7 stakeholders there, maybe 5 stakeholders there. This is just to give you a sense. This is the case of local situation. So ladies and gentlemen, what is the first row says that the stakeholder is rural poor. What are the intention of the rural poor? Intention of the rural poor: reduce the burden of livelihood, improve quality of life, health, education, sanitation, housing, etc. They don't have any voice. They are poor and inadequate conversation capacity. And of course, some of them left out from inclusion because various problems there in developing countries. Many choice there, governance problem is there, not including the poor people, some people by intentionally for some limitation of the governance. So some of them left off from the inclusion. Then I put here a rank in that on the basis of the importance, A, B, and C. For that particular locality, it is A. Maybe B in your case. It is a total local case. You have to develop that type of matrix to lead you how to identify the project and then project activities to make a sound project, to make it if most effective project for the development of the particular area, for solving the problems of that particular area. Then what are the measures we need? Capacity building through forming groups. We have a number of Bangladesh did very well in poverty reduction during the time of Millennium Development Goal. It achieved more than it targeted. So groups play the key role, and we believe strongly. We know that the poor peoples pay back the money. They don't have collateral, but they pay back the money. But rich people do not pay. So capacity building, forming the groups. Capacity for groups has a dynamism to develop themselves. Capital formation through savings of government. We have very good experience in Bangladesh. Our respected Prime Minister's program, My House, My Farm. So that is also capital building, and it addresses the total, the total of the livelihood of the poor people, and capital formation by them. And capital is the most important tool for the development. We have very good example for that to bring the poor under the program and reduce their burden of poverty, and bring the left out of all into the program and adopting proper measures. So it may be few more points will come here. If you go through, then you need to analyze more. This is just to give an example to you. Then financial institution, financial service provider, local bank, financial institution. Then financial need collateral for credit. I'm a bank, I need collateral. Poor people doesn't have the collateral, and Bangladesh showed the world that without collateral, poor people pay back the money. So bank interest is that they need some collateral for the security of their credit. Then they also interested of their credit, assurance of the getting back the money. This is the bank interest. Service provides as a part of their job, not very punctual, reluctant for having extra incentive. That means as a bank worker, I may think that why I should do credit program. I don't have that type of motivation that I'll help the poor people. That you have to consider. So I am reluctant, and I may say that I delay the process. I say that you come tomorrow. The poor people 2-3 days whenever come back, he has some expenditure. He has to pay some money after coming to the bank and go back. After 2 to 3 days, naturally he will be demoralized, not come to the bank. Or as a bank, as a corrupt person, I may ask, is a common in developing countries. I may ask that you give 20% of your credit to me, otherwise I will not. Maybe indirectly I just influence that one. That is not very uncommon. So ladies and gentlemen, so this is the higher cost. So I put it here the rank 1. So the special banking, including creating networks for banking various financial institutions, motivation, support, regulation for ensuring governance in financial inclusion, transparency, accountability, responsiveness, etc. These are very challenging issues in developing countries. Measures for governance issues. So these are huge. Whenever just put this one, the interest of the stake and what is your measure, then you can pinpoint it, you can identify what are the measures you need to adopt to make successful of your project. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry that I'm talking too much and I'm speaking a little bit faster. So just kindly tolerate me. I'll not be speaking much longer time. So let me come to the third step of the group, supervising authority of the program. Some people are supervised after delivering the credit. Some organizations are there who lead the who take the initiative to for supervising better use of the credit to 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 improve their social and economical condition. Then this supervising authority, they'll take more coverage achieving the targets. They fix them targets because they have some targets. Monitoring solve dispute of the field is for field situation, because field situation there may be number of disputes may arise. Provides inputs for development programs. Whenever you find the problem, they also provide feedback to the programs that these are the problems we realize in the field. So for the development program, we have to include this type of limitations that prevail in the field situation. Ladies and gentlemen, I put it B here. So bring the left out into the program with adopting proper measures, strong monitoring and ensuring governance issues. So this is a big challenge. So we have a very good examples of safety net program for the hardcore poverty in our country, and about 142 safety net programs in our government. So many efforts were there by our respected Prime Minister. That is the reason we did very well in poverty reduction. Now, after the pandemic situation emerged, the situation has changes. So, like all over the world, but we were in a very right track, very strong track for eradicating poverty, for achieving for food. We have already achieved. We have produced enough food for our own. So, ladies and gentlemen, then the last one I put here: coordination committee for credit disbursement, district levels, and generally deputy commissioner, and he presides over the chair in every month. Then all the credit giving institutions and field supervisors, all the stakes come there. Then what are the things they concern? Concern is credit disbursement and recovery, adopt recommendation measure, dispute arise in the field situation transaction, nationalize and private banks, financial institution, NGO forum at the local level can clear their positions. I put it here B, avoiding duplicating and ensure coverage and reach wider clientele. So many credit giving organizations there. You heard the name of BRAC. We have nationalized 4 banks. Private banks are there. BRAC is there. Grameen Bank is there. So many NGOs there to provide the credit for eradicating the poverty. So by duplicating the poverty, we have a lot of experiences that whenever the poor family, you know that poor family takes loan from 2 or 3 sources, so they just become crippled with the vicious cycle of the credit. So they cannot come out. So for proper utilization of credit, so we have to find that the duplicating order should be avoided. Ensure inclusion of deserving old recipients, target population, irrespective of political choice or personal grievance. So some people still left out in our development. Poor people left out. This is due to sometimes it is personal grievance is there, political choice it is very limited. political choice is there that he should not be included in the safety net program like this. So that should be the measures you have to adopt. So the last column, I talked 4 clientele groups. The last column is relating to your thinking, your interventions. So I just put it here, ladies and gentlemen, to drive what are the works you need to carry out, what are the interests of the credit group, and what are the measures you need to adopt in your project design. So this is this. Ladies and gentlemen, SWOT analysis is also used for project identification. We know that S stands for strength, W stands for weakness, O stands for opportunity, and T stands for threat. So this is a tool for project identification. This is a local case, so I don't like to detail all these the parameters present in the slide. Just to give you a sense that we need to understand the strength of a particular area. It is written. Don't give any subheads here. I suggest you to put some subheads so that, for an example, you can give the nature strength. Under the strength, and you can give natural resources there, human resources, financial resources, and institutional resources of a particular area. Under that subhead, you can just give so many points. Even some more parameters may come into the strength of this particular area. And similarly, in all cases, opportunity, weakness, and threats, we can provide some subheads so that we can get a full essence of a particular area. So this SWOT analysis is very important to identify a project. Just to give you a sense, if you just recall the previous case, the irrigation case we discussed earlier, then for a single parameter, I just mentioned here, not too many parameters, because many parameters will be coming here. Single parameters, what is the strength? The strength is there, the natural resource. Under the natural resource, that about 200,000 hectares of land there. Out of this 200,000 hectares of land, 180,000 hectares of land can be brought under irrigation. And what will be the opportunity for the particular project, for the development intervention? Then about 2 million metric tons of food grains should be produced per annum. Per year, we'll get an extra 2 million metric tons of paddy. Then what is the weakness of this particular area? As we discussed earlier, the weakness is that the fishermen may lose their source of income in the dry season, and so they may fall into the hardcore. They fall into poverty, and their socio-economic condition status will be downgraded. So what will be the threat of this type of project, that adoption of irrigation project? Then you may write here that one community, particularly the fishermen community, may extinct from the society in the long run. So, ladies and gentlemen, we don't take any particular tool or metrics for selecting a project. We take number of tools and metrics in a particular area so that we can get a clear idea of that area. So SWOT analysis is one of them. You can just analyze this here, from SWOT analysis, it will drive you to select some projects, select the project area. Then you can go for another metrics like we discussed in microfinance. So to identify the stake interest, at the same time, what are the measures you will adopt to fulfill the stake interest and to achieve your goal, the target or the goal of the project. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is all about the SWOT analysis for the time being. And so, ranking exercise is another tool for project identification. As I told that not only single tool we use for project identification, we need some metrics and also together one or two or three like this for a particular project identification. That is very important so that we can understand the whole situation in better way. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is written there that this tool will help a person to select the most promising ideas or option when many have been generated. And I should say that what I understand from I did the job. I did the job during my during the project formulation, project identification of Koika Bird Integrated Community Development Project in 2008, and the duration of the project was over 4 years almost. And I used this ranking exercise, and the other tool I used was workshop method and ranking exercise. So what are those? The workshop method that I invited, we invited, we invited in two workshops. So we invited all representatives of all class of people of that particular area, and uh, they came here. Started from the elected representatives, government officials, and representative of cooperatives, and women's representative, and landless people, and the fishermen community. So all types of people are there, all categories of people are there in the workshop. And the day-long workshop, they identify uh, about 16 development interventions they need for the development of the area. And these 16 development interventions we listed out. And again, we went to the village after the two workshops is over, then workshop report, and then go to the village and again sit with these people there. All the people sit there and ask them to rank the priorities. To rank means we just list out the 16 development interventions and ask individually to give the priority. Somebody gives the 16 number is 1, somebody gives his 1 is 5th position, somebody gives his 6th in 1. It means that the different class people has different interest on development interventions. And we just convert it into weightage. Ranking, for an example, Mr. X gives 1 as irrigation project gives ranks is 1. It means that that particular man gives 16 points of that particular interventions, and we take all the weightage and sum up all the weightage and give and prioritize that, and the largest the figure gets the top priority. So accordingly we arrange the development priorities, development intervention priorities of that area, and talk with the people these are development areas. Then we suit the allocation of the project, people's participation, that means the allocation of the people, allocation of the Korean government's money, and prioritize the areas and suit and just make it rational. It means that allocate the money according to the resources available, and we carried out the project that way. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the research findings, the last one here, the research finding is there. Research finding is a big tool, is also tool there, and but research is a carrying out research is a mandated function of part. Out of the 3 functional research is one of them. Over 700 researches part carried out. And in Kumila, you use the research findings, particularly to identify the preliminary to identify the project. And this is how the design works of our design, that we identify the development, we identify the problems in rural areas, and accordingly design the development intervention, what we call it project. So we identify the problems of particular area, and then we adopt different tools or metrics to identify the better way to understand the development needs and how to move for the development, how to move to get better results from the development works. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is in short about the research findings. So I would like to conclude here. I have talked too much. I don't like to prolong my speech anymore. So I'd like to spare few sentences in my concluding remarks. And this is the concluding remarks, that Projects are identified, prepared, and implemented by departments, autonomous institutions, and different ministries in majority cases. I told that we have 1,358 projects in 2019 and 20, and that is one of the reasons Bangladesh did all cases in parallel to Rwanda in Africa. That these two countries had the lead growth rate in GDP. So projects are generally identified on the basis of local needs and match with the SDG national plan. That you have to carry out, that you have to keep in your mind, that whenever local need is very important. Whenever local needs are defined, then go for the metrics for identifying what should be the role of different stakes and what should be the measures in the project. So first matching is the local needs, then link it with the one. Prescribed forms are used to prepare project proposal, monitoring, and also evaluation at the end. Project of higher investment need feasibility study, which has to be incorporated in the project area. In the project proposal, sorry. So in project proposal, in project pro forma, there is some for higher investment. We need to some after certain limit of the project investment, then you need to insert the feasibility study of that area. And feasibility, some parameters are there. So it is inside the form. So results of project identification can give better rationale in favor of project works. So whenever you use the tools and metrics of project and from local areas, that can give strong foundation for project proposal formation. And project identify by using different tools gives the foundation of project as well as grow confidence to the project manager. Ladies and gentlemen, as a old person and as a long time associated, I was a long time associated with project related works. Believe me, project identification by using different tools and metrics give you huge strength, huge inspiration to do some good job for your country, for your nation. And I believe I could speak, I like to say that I could speak very international forum about my learnings, what I learned from Kumilla in the last 33 years. So I should say you, whenever you go for the project, love the work and give it more concentration. It is not the regimentation work. You need to love the work. Identification, when go for the stakeholder analysis. I just show you 4 stakes. You may take 6 to 7. Just analyze, give it more emphasis. So that will give you, the huge inspiration and to move to talk in different forums and to implement your project. Ladies and gentlemen, I have talked too much. I don't like to torture your patience longer time. I miss to see your blessing faces, but I know that many of you are my friends in the Facebook. So ladies and gentlemen, hope to see you and meet you in the development works at home and abroad. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience.